Buenas tardes, soy Rubén Vigil, jefe del área de Comunicación y Prensa de la Fundación Princesa de Asturias. Bienvenidos a la rueda de prensa que va a ofrecer a continuación Gloria Steinem, Premio Princesa de Asturias de Comunicación y Humanidades en esta edición. Como saben, las ruedas de prensa se están desarrollando de forma telemática, con lo cual, para formular sus preguntas, deben levantar la mano físicamente o bien utilizar la aplicación digital que permite la propia plataforma. También pueden enviarnos las preguntas a través del chat o incluso utilizar el correo electrónico o WhatsApp para hacerme llegar las cuestiones. En primer lugar, la galardonada les dirigirá unas palabras y a continuación abriremos el turno de preguntas. Cuando quiera, señora Steinem.
It's odd for somebody who is a journalist to be the subject of a press conference, but it's probably educational and what we deserve after submitting other people to questions. But most of all, I am so honored to be here in Spain for the first time, this award that I never, ever could have imagined. And I hope that part of the results of this is that we will come to know each other collectively and individually in a more thorough and personal way, which I hope is what the media is for. So what can I help with, or what can I tell you?
Abrimos, por tanto, el turno de preguntas. Sí, Claudia.
Hi, can you hear me?
Sí,
Yes,
te oímos.
I think so. I can definitely see you. It reverberates a little bit, but let's try it.
Hi, this is Claudia from Vanity Fair Spain. Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Yes. Okay. First of all, congratulations on the award. I wanted to ask you, you're well known for your travels. You travel a lot, and you said you learn a lot through your travels. I would like to know, what have you learned in these last years that we have been stopped from traveling?
Well, just in this last year, of course, we've had the shared experience of COVID that has drawn us together as a globe, as a world of people, in a way that I think is probably unique in all of our lives. Earlier in my life, I learned enormously from living 2 years in India, from traveling in Europe and Africa, and I think that though probably all knowledge can be had by thinking in depth in the same place, that there's a great deal to be said for seeing people, listening to people in all of our diversity.
Tenemos dos preguntas de María Fuello, de la agencia EFE. La primera es, ¿cuáles son los retos más urgentes que debe abordar el feminismo?
Well, of course, the most pressing challenge for feminism is patriarchy. I mean, and the idea that in various forms around the world, there have been political systems in which males owned or controlled females as the means of reproduction and also as inexpensive labor. So we continue to deal with that, and it has changed enormously. But as you can see in my own state, in the United States of Texas, where this battle is still going on, and as we see in statistics about women's economic welfare, health welfare, ability to decide when and whether to have children, we are still dealing with this system called patriarchy, which of course shortens the lives of men too in many ways.
La otra pregunta que nos formulaba María Fuello es, ¿qué debe aprender el movimiento feminista actual de mujeres pioneras en esta lucha como usted?
I think that's up to each individual activist and how I can be helpful or others can be helpful. I suppose one thing we clearly learn is that this is not a short struggle. By my age alone, I proved that, but then there were generations and generations before me struggling to get the vote in my country and, many other forms of freedom. So I think the important thing about learning and teaching is that we each do both. So if we can learn to listen as much as we talk and talk as much as we listen, then we can be helpful to each other both by learning and teaching.
Nos llega ahora una pregunta de Elena Fernández Pello, de la Nueva España. Dice, ¿cuál sería su mensaje para los hombres y las mujeres del futuro, para las chicas que construirán el mundo del futuro?
My message is that I'm here to support them. I am not here to tell people what to do. That's the opposite of a liberation movement. But I am here in the hope of all liberation movements, which is that we are each born a unique human being, someone who could never have happened before and could never happen again. Too many of us are then faced with conformity by economics, by race, by gender, by class, and deprived of that full uniqueness. But we have moved a great distance, and at my age I can see that some of the distance, so I have faith that we're going to continue.
Siguiente pregunta, por favor. Sí, de nuevo Claudia.
Hi again. I would like to know if you knew that you were the fourth woman getting this award in the history of the Premios Princesa de Asturias since 1981.
Yes, I did because of the information I was sent. I did not know beforehand, but in the last weeks I've learned that. And obviously we're looking forward to a day when everything is a little bit more 50-50.
Thank you.
Nos llega otra pregunta de Elena Fernández Pello, de la Nueva España. Dice, ¿a quién tiene en su recuerdo en este momento? ¿De qué compañeras, de amigas, de su madre, de quién se acuerda en un momento como este en el que va a recibir este galardón?
Oh, so many. That's a wonderful question. I think about a woman named Wilma Mankiller, which may seem like an odd name, but she was Cherokee and had a warrior name. She was the head of the Cherokee Nation, and she symbolized to me, as a friend and as a colleague, the fact that there was a pre-patriarchal time when leadership was more equally divided. So I definitely think of her. I think of Alice Walker, who I think is one of the great writers of our time and of the globe, who manages to write in a way that is like grass growing on the page, and who never stereotypes anyone. If you haven't already read her work, I so urge you to find one of her short stories or her poems. I could continue on and on because it is the success of a movement that we can see each other and learn from each other as unique individuals and value each other. We're no longer necessarily valuing in the way that society does by our salary or by our attachment to a prestigious male human being, but seeing each other as unique, valuable people.
Tenemos otra pregunta de la agencia EFE, de María Fuello. Usted, que ha vivido en primera línea los avances de la lucha feminista, ¿confía en que llegaremos a vivir en una sociedad igualitaria?
Yes, I do. One of the advantages of being older is that you remember when it was worse. So it does give you hope for the future. It's long and it's complicated. It's also basic because it comes from the desire, or much of it comes from the desire to control women as childbearers and to also decide which groups increase or do fare better than others. So it is the system that renders us unequal is deep, but having seen so much change in my lifetime, I feel heartened. And when I see young women and young men who no longer feel the same way about divisions among them, I feel especially heartened.
¿Más preguntas, por favor?
Answers, too. You could give me answers. That would be
Claudia, de nuevo.
Hi,
Sí,
Claudia.
Claudia.
Hi.
Hi again. Sorry. One of my questions is, you say
I'm sorry you got cut off.
Claudia, no te escuchamos ahora.
I'm not hearing you. I'm sorry.
Un segundo, just a second. We're going to fix it. Claudia, ¿podrías repetir la pregunta?
Sorry, Claudia, I think you'll have to repeat it because the sound failed us, I think.
yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. When in your book you say that when you traveled, you realized that reality is not what the media tell you, but that reality is reality. So what can the media do to be closer to what reality is when they publish or when they talk about what's going on in the world?
Well, I think, journalists in general are striving to make reality more real. And in a way, now that we are online, it is sometimes an advantage because we can speak to each other directly. Sometimes it's difficult because the ways we speak are so short that they may lead to generalities. But I think if we remember to write about someone else as we would wish to be written about ourselves with the same accuracy and compassion, then we'll be on the right track.
Tenemos una nueva pregunta de Elena Fernández Pello, de la Nueva España. Dice, ¿cómo podemos ayudar las mujeres occidentales a mejorar la situación de las que viven en sociedades menos igualitarias? Las mujeres afganas, por ejemplo. ¿Y qué responsabilidad podemos pedir a nuestros gobiernos?
Well, the women in Afghanistan and India, where I once lived, are speaking clearly and in their own voices. We can both listen to them and amplify their voices, try to make sure that they are in the media more, and that they receive 50% of the time. We're 50% of the globe. Why not 50% of the time on media?
Muchas gracias, señora Steinem. ¿Tenemos alguna pregunta más? Nos queda tiempo para una última pregunta.
Or answers, don't forget to give me answers.
Nada más. Pues damos aquí por finalizada esta rueda de prensa. La siguiente será mañana a las 11 de la mañana con Teresa Perales, Premio Princesa de Asturias de los Deportes. Gracias. Thank you very much.
All right. Yeah, I just want to say one last thing. I think every reporter, every media person should have to be the subject of interviews like this. It gives you way more empathy with people are on both sides of the camera or the microphone. Thank you.